Hi there, and welcome to This Day in History for June 17th. June 17th is the 168th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar, 169th in leap years, with 197 days remaining to the end of the year. Today's word is hermeneutic. Hermeneutic is an adjective that means interpretive or explanatory. This word is ultimately named after Hermes from the Greek mythology, who served as a messenger or herald for other gods. That's lowercase g, by the way. And who was himself the god of eloquence, commerce, invention, cunning, theft, and more. These are all mythological gods, okay? First documented use of the word hermeneutic is 1678. I'd like to take a moment to mention that links to my research are included in the show notes and to ask you to go ahead and click that like button. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this video with others and stay to the end for outtakes, because I'm sure there's going to be some today. Well, we're probably not going to have outtakes today since I'm not going on film, but there's outtakes left over from before. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and remember that you can share this video with others by email or in your social media. Yeah, some days, I sure do get dressed every day, but some days I just don't feel like putting on my face, and I just look pale and tired when I don't. And I don't want to look at that, and I don't think you do either, so we're going face-free today. Anyway, with that, we're going to start in the year 1462, when Vlad the Impaler attempted to assassinate Mehmed II, forcing him to retreat from Wallachia. Vlad the Impaler is also known as Vlad III or Vlad Dracula, by the way. He, along with his younger brother, had been held hostage in the Ottoman Empire in order to secure his father's loyalty. His father and older brother were murdered in a coup, and a lot of spy versus spy as rivals took over the country. In his attempts to return to his home country and take it back, I would imagine there was probably some sentiment to avenge the death of his father and older brother, and as he killed his enemies, he would impale them on spikes to serve as a lesson to any other potential enemies. The Ottoman Sultan Mehmed II wanted Vlad to pay homage to him personally, but Vlad wasn't having it. And he had the Sultan's envoy captured and impaled. And so it is that we have today's news item, where on June 17, 1462, Vlad the Impaler attempted to assassinate Mehmed II. Fortunately for Mehmed, he had the good sense to skedaddle, and he got out of Wallachia. Now see how interesting history can be? On June 17, 1579, Sir Francis Drake claimed a land he called Nova Albion for England. Turns out Nova Albion is present-day California. On June 17, 1631, a woman named Taj Mahal died, giving birth to her 14th child. Her husband, who loved her the most of his 3 wives, was devastated, and he spent the next 17 years building a lovely mausoleum in her honor, which we know today as the Taj Mahal. On June 17, 1673, French explorers Jacques Marquette and Louis Joliet reached the Mississippi River and became the first Europeans to make a detailed study of the river's course. Speaking of firsts related to bodies of water, on June 17, 1767, British sea captain Samuel Wallis sighted Tahiti and is considered the first European to reach the island. On June 17, 1839, in the Kingdom of Hawaii, Kamehameha III issued the Edict of Toleration, which gave Roman Catholics the freedom to worship in the Hawaiian Islands. The Hawaii Catholic Church and the Cathedral of Our Lady of Peace were established as a result. This is the birthday of educator, publisher, and humanitarian John Robert Gregg, born June 17, 1867. He's the inventor of the Gregg shorthand system. Some people around my age have probably taken shorthand in high school. Interesting story about John Gregg. As a little boy on his second day of school, the schoolmaster caught him whispering to a schoolmate The schoolmaster bonked the two boys' heads together in such a manner as to cause John Robert to suffer damage to his hearing. This was back in 1872, before they had such things as hearing tests, much less hearing aids. And because he was unable to understand people speaking to him, it led everybody to think that he was dull, mentally challenged. Of course, he wasn't at all dull, he just couldn't hear. Meanwhile, the family had a friend who happened to be a journalist who was versed in a form of shorthand. This friend attended church with the family, and while he was there, he transcribed the entire sermon in shorthand. Mr. Gregg, John's father, was very impressed by this and saw shorthand as a powerful asset and required all of his children to study this form of shorthand. Except for John, because everyone thought John was too simple to learn it. Interestingly, none of the other kids did very well at learning shorthand at all, but John was interested in it. He found a book about a different shorthand system and taught himself that method, since he was, in fact, quite capable of learning from a book, no hearing required. He kept working on shorthand and improved his method, copyrighted his own system of shorthand in 1888. A few years later, he emigrated to the United States and published Gregg Shorthand. Sometimes we old schoolers joke amongst ourselves about using cursive writing as a secret code that today's youngsters would not be able to understand. For sure and true, shorthand could definitely be a secret code. I'm sure one would be hard-pressed to even find a class on shorthand anymore, though. John Robert Gregg lived to the age of 80. This is the birthday of Russian pianist, composer, and conductor Igor Stravinsky, born June 17, 1882. I've placed a link to Stravinsky's Rite of Spring in the show notes. Igor Stravinsky lived to the age of 88. It was on June 17, 1885, that the Statue of Liberty arrived in New York Harbor. This is the birthday of Dutch illustrator M.C. Escher, born June 17, 1898. Interesting work. He lived to the age of 73. The U.S. Navy Hospital Corps was established on June 17, 1898. The first standardized college test, the forerunner to the SAT, was introduced on June 17, 1901. Yowza, on June 17, 1929, a 7.8 magnitude earthquake hit Murchison, New Zealand. That's a pretty big one, folks. Only 17 people were killed, but it was at the time New Zealand's worst national disaster. The last public guillotining in France took place on June 17, 1939, with the execution of a convicted murderer in Versailles outside the St. Pierre prison. This is the birthday of politician Newt Gingrich and American singer-songwriter Barry Manilow, both born on June 17, 1943. Both still alive. They turned 77 in 2020. Hard to imagine Barry Manilow, 77. Iceland declared independence from Denmark and became a republic on June 17, 1944. This is the birthday of American actor, comedian, and screenwriter Joe Piscopo, born June 17, 1951. He turns 69 in 2020. The People's Republic of China announced a successful test of its first thermonuclear weapon on June 17, 1967. And that's all I have for you today. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something you didn't know before. I know I sure did. I always do. As always, links to my research are included in the show notes. Thank you so much for watching. Give it a like if you enjoyed this video. Consider subscribing if you haven't already. Feel free to share this with others and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. You can check out my other channel, 8 Susquehanna. There's a link to that in the show notes. Thanks again, and I'll see you next time. Dadgummit, I have this in bits and pieces. If you didn't like this video, hit that thumbs down sign twice. Ain't nobody gonna fall for that. All right, let's try that again. I've got my tongue wrapped around my eye teeth and I couldn't see what I was saying. we'll start from the beginning. Signed the it's a mouthful. Archaeologist. Yeah, we'll probably leave that part out. I don't know how all that's going to go together, or if it's even going to make it to the video. We'll just see. That's not going to go. Yeah, we're going to cut those out. That'll all be laying on the cutting room floor. So I'll just do that whole thing over. That might not make it into the video. We'll see. Changing it up.